Here's the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And you're stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys, just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Baskell, and I am the trash can that eats Spy's discarded clothes and items.
Nice. I am John Gilardi, and I still don't know how to say Florence Pug.
Ooh.
I don't know how to say her name.
Pug.
I feel
She's a pugilist.
The resources are out there, and I just haven't bothered. I don't. And I feel like I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not alone there, and not fixing that. It's just
No.
Do you know what it is?
I think it's Pew. Florence Pugh.
Pew.
Like
like a church pew.
Church pew.
Like pew
Yeah,
pew.
I think. I just say Florence. I'm just like, that's my buddy Florence over there, kicking ass, doing it.
My buddy Flo.
My buddy Flo, doing it. Don't you know, baby? Here we go. Today we are going to be talking about a movie long overdue. After years as a supporting character, tossed to the side in favor of more male characters in the MCU, finally, Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff gets the due she deserves and gets to headline her own movie with a fabulous supporting cast in David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, and the aforementioned Florence Pugh. Today, we're going to talk about the long pushed back Black Widow.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. And is it? I don't even know if it's really worth summarizing the movie because it's more just. It's not even a backstory, which is the weird thing. Like, there's elements of her origin here, but which I guess but I think it's a lose-lose because on one hand you're like, oh man, I'm so sick of the formula of the origin story, blah blah blah, and then so when they don't do a direct origin, then people are all up in arms about that. It's not an origin story actually. So it's like, what do you guys want?
Well, all right, here's my take on that, is that it is an origin story. It's Florence Pugh's origin story, as much as it is Scarlett Johansson's goodbye.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I think
like,
so.
it's definitely, I honestly think it's, like, there was parts in the movie and I felt bad, because I was like, oh, this is Florence's movie, you know?
Yeah.
Because, definitely, and I think that this is the movie that I'm going to have to go back and watch Scarlett Johansson in other stuff, but this movie definitely made me question, like, oh, I've defended her for a long time as like a good actress, but maybe she's not, or maybe she's just not in these Marvel movies. She's not very good. It also could be that the Natasha character is like a really hard one. Because
well, it's also been directed and it's just been different over the years, you know. I mean, you don't realize it, but she's one of the oldest characters in the MCU in terms of appearance, like in terms of first appearance, I guess, and longevity over these movies.
Iron Man 2.
Yeah. And obviously she was undercover. And that's also you have that going for her, that the fact that she's a spy and she's a good actor or whatever, so she can be a different person, has a hairstyle of the movie, every movie.
Yeah. Well, and it's also too any sort of emotional growth that she has or emotional like tension that she shows is almost immediately undercut to kind of be like, "Oops, I was doing a trick on you." So it's like she makes steps, and I think that's one of the things that made Florence feel a lot more fresh, is that it didn't feel like she had any of those like subtleties or like backhandedness. She was just like, "I'm just gonna do shit because I'm gonna do shit."
Yeah. I mean, she was for sure the highlight of the movie for me, and I don't think I'm alone in that. So it's not like I'm unique in saying that, but she made the movie without a doubt for me. And then Rachel Weisz was really entertaining in terms of her kind of absent, like, just like she's a scientist and that's kind of her focus, I guess. And she tries to be, it tries to connect with people, but she isn't the best at it, I guess, which is like a kind of interesting character connection, or even just like the straightforward at the end where they're like, "Oh, we made it okay," and she's like, "I'm injured," or it's just like, it was so deadpan.
Clearly,
and
I
direct.
am injured.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know.
I love that.
That was a good.
I honestly
and then obviously David Harbour. I mean, he's interesting, and it makes you want more of it, but you're not going to get more of it. But then again,
I think you could. We could.
But also, do they bounce well because Natasha is the straight man? You know, like is that why it works? And obviously, you could say that the mom is a little bit more of the straight man, but I don't know. She's a little too loopy to pull that off. I don't know.
I could definitely see, and it's the weird thing, and we're talking about it now, but I could definitely see those three characters vibing well with Hawkeye as the straight guy. And I think that's one of the things, the problem that I have with the Black Widow character, maybe even less so than Scarlett Johansson's acting or whatever, but it's like we're never really, there's so few opportunities that we get to see, and it's weird, even in this movie, there's so few moments that we get to see her be a person in a way that doesn't feel calculated. Because even in I'm just like going back, like even in Age of Ultron, when she's telling Bruce her shit, it's almost like in a move to get him to leave, to be like, hey, let's fucking get out of here. I don't necessarily want to do it on my own, but I want you to do it.
Yeah.
With you.
Well, I think she has moments of being a normal person in this, but you just don't get time to sit on it. And it's not to say the movie is really fast or is overly paced. I think the movie's paced well. It's a very competent movie. But it more so shows these things as story beats and shorthand than rather like really letting it sink in that like, oh, this is Natasha, this is her as the person. I mean, and all this really is just a slice of life between movies. You know, it's filling in the blanks of after Civil War. And, you know, some people have issue with that and like, oh, it's pointless, whatever. But I'm okay with that personally.
I like that.
Yeah,
I liked it as far as like a in between, like to be like, because there is so much like, what are they doing in between these movies? And it's like, she's still kicking it. I honestly could have used more, and we probably got exactly like what the audience probably got exactly what we needed as far as like the time where she's in hiding. Like I could have used more of that.
Yeah, I think so.
Personally.
Because she literally was in hiding for 6 hours, and then she got found out by Taskmaster. But yeah, I was gonna say I think there's an interesting thing where, you know, we can have these almost kind of inconsequential side stories. You know, like this wasn't integral to the Infinity War. You know, the whole overall MCU. Like there's no nuggets in here that were needed, you know, for that big arching story. But yeah, that's because it came after. If it did, it would have been a movie that came out before. But I like that this doesn't have to. Like I think it doesn't have to exist to build a larger narrative, you know, to a big cinematic event. And
I don't think it takes anything away too, because I think that's one of the things that's really hard about this. And I think that they are either running into and or like it doesn't have the same sort of as things get bigger, it's like the ties become more tenuous and it feels like they have to do more work. Because I think one of the things that Edgar Wright pushed back against for him doing his Ant-Man movie is like having to tie it to so many other, like having to include other things that would tie it into the larger universe, which is something that I think that as their world gets bigger and they go and they have Loki and they have like this metaphysical, and then they have the the WandaVision where that's happening too, and like they're building more and more, and
Well, you definitely stray into fan servicey territory there, which isn't good. You end up. I mean, that's Star Wars right there. Rise of
Well, which is
Skywalker.
why I feel. That's why I feel weird. I don't feel weird. But like the Valentina character, like she felt. I don't like her, but
Well,
I know that I'm
like,
not supposed to like her.
Like you could
but-
argue that that's the like those people or whatever that has to stick to the larger narrative or whatever, like that's all this movie existed for, was introducing Florence Pugh and her relationship and the spy ring with Valentina, and that's like the same with even Ant-Man. I'd say the first Ant-Man introduces Ant-Man, and then the second one really just existed for the end credit scene where he disappears in the dimensional multiverse or whatever it is.
Yeah,
The quantum
it goes
realm.
Deep. Quantum realm.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a bad. You shouldn't have to stretch everything, and I think that's a bad precedent. And that's like the same thing we talked about a while ago with Marvel movies, how they're so prominent in mainstream culture and are setting a lot of expectations for moviegoers of what to view or what to expect in the movie experience, let alone within franchises. Like the mark they've had on franchises now, and the pressure for other franchises to capitalize on that is huge.
The
and
cinematic universe.
Yeah, and then even the end credit scene thing is has influenced people. Like I remember in the sequel Star Wars movies, everyone waited for the credits, and I'm like, guys, this is Star Wars. But even part of me was like, oh my god, did they do this?
What if they did though?
And I think the only
What if they did,
instance I've remembered in Star Wars so far that they've done it is the Book of Boba Fett thing, which I'm a little torn on that how they announced it, but because I don't like that. I like the fact that Star Wars can be not influenced, I guess. But I also like if you don't change, if you don't adapt, you kind of fall into obscurity. No, I mean, I don't think
Adapt
you need
or
to have
die, baby.
Yeah, but are end credit scenes keeping people relevant these days? I don't think so.
No. In some cases, you could say that they're also set, like the end credit scenes are like setting expectations. The end credit scenes are setting expectations for people to fail to live up to them.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I've seen a couple movies with end credit scenes that are like we're setting up the sequel, and it's like you're not gonna get a sequel. This was awful.
Yeah.
I can't think of a specific example right now, but
I mean, it doesn't have end credit scenes, but the Avatar real live action movie definitely.
Oh yeah.
Was setting it's like was very like in the next, I don't know, just
Here
like
we
the
go.
vibe of it. Here's book one.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like the Book of Boba Fett thing because it was unexpected. Like if they did it again, I would be maybe upset.
Yeah. Well, I think it works as it's an offshoot. It's not integral to this narrative. But then also, there's a lot of people having these expectations that they're building up for this Thrawn universe, with Mando, Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
Even maybe Boba. I don't know. With Thrawn and Ezra Bridger. And I always want to say Ezra Miller. Which I'm not against. But also it's like, does every Marvel have to see? I don't know. It's like it's hard when you're living it.
Can't we
You know,
just
'cause,
have
like,
this
'cause
movie
how many-
that
well,
sits?
how many things today, we enjoy as they are because everyone adapted to what something did,
Yeah.
due to someone else's trailblazing. So it's like, I don't know. I don't think like our generation is unique, but I do think there's a point in your 30s, any generation along, when you start to question the consumption of media, I guess, and the changes, and it starts to there's like introducing that like these dang kids or something,
It's so funny. It's so funny. My mom's like, it was, I don't know. It was like last year there that show Outer Banks came out on Netflix, and I was trying to watch it. Like it was like, I don't know. It was like 6:00 on like a Saturday. It was like chill. We had just been at the beach and stuff, and we're like, let's put on this show. My friend's in it. and then and my my mom was like, "Oh, this is so awful," and it wasn't very good, but she was like, but it was also like a cheap teeny bopper thing, and my mom was just like, I'm not going to waste the hours of my life that I have spent watching this. You can keep it on, but it's stupid, and I'm not going to stop talking through it. And I was like, Jesus, Mom.
It's aggressive.
Jeez. I mean, you're right, I guess, but gosh. But I definitely, there is part of me, like, to connect that back up to this, where it's like, I don't know. I don't feel like I wasted my time watching this movie.
No.
But I definitely do like, well, what was added? And I think that there's something like that's especially apparent in this blockbuster, like, finally Black Widow gets her thing, and it feels like a lot of the stuff, like stuff and themes that we have, where it's like women being mind controlled, which I really liked, and it's like hard to say, but it feels really like, even like the same thing with Tomorrow War, where it was like sort of forced, but also was a good idea, but maybe was not executed. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's like that whole theme.
Well, I feel like it was trying to say something without
saying anything.
Actually saying anything. Yeah. Well, there was the line like, I just exploit the run resources country has too much of girls. Like the big villain says at the end. I was like, what does that mean?
Okay.
Like, what is this saying? It doesn't need to say anything, but again, it felt like it was saying something, and it's not clear to me, and I'm sure it's there, and it sure can be broken down, but
also, I don't know if I'm interested in breaking it down, but I guess, I don't know, because I don't want it to not say anything, because I also I liked the theme, like the mind control, like having that stuff integrated, where taking away will and like taking away, but it felt like it was done with such like a little kid gloves, like tip tapping on like this big issue, like hoping that it doesn't burst, because if they push the conversation too far, they're gonna get a whole lot of like blood and like human trafficking stuff. Like even with that like sort of opening scene over the thing with them in the fucking the container crates or the containers where they were all those girls. I was like, yeesh, that's
I was like,
that's real human trafficking.
They're going dark here.
But and I was like, okay, here we go. But then they like sort of shied away from it, sort of went to it. They danced a pretty good dance around it. And I feel like maybe it'll start good conversations. But also for me, I was like, okay, I got you. But I didn't feel anything new. I don't know what I'm saying. It just is like, I feel like I do know what I'm saying. Thanks for letting me ramble on, John.
Very good. No, I agree with everything you're saying in terms of just trying to get a feel for the movie. I think personally, I like the movie. I like it way more than I thought. And I think the fact that it's part of a bigger picture makes us look at it and try and find how we feel about it more than we would if it was just a singular spy movie. Now, is this a good singular spy movie? Is it better than a Bourne movie? Is it better than Mission Impossible or James Bond as these kind of spy thrillers? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I think it is.
I don't think
it has
it's even as good as Winter Soldier.
No, and I think it has some elements and does things way better. Primarily in the cast of characters playing with like the kind of Soviet setting from the Soviet perspective.
Yeah.
Like that's unique. That's interesting.
It was almost more heisty than it was like spy thriller.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was very like when they went to that thing, the God, what's it called? The sky base, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, very heisty.
The Red Room.
Yeah, the Red Room. I think one thing that it was missing, in a small sense, was seeing more of Florence Pugh before she wakes up, I guess. Because you're just told that she's a murderer, and you believe it, and there's tons of jokes about it, and she's very like callous and like not super regretful either. So you do buy it, but also then it's like, why isn't she super regretful? You know, if she's awake now. So there's a little conflict
Russian.
there. Yeah. So
Because she's Russian, John.
I mean, the movie's full of like trying to figure things out of where it stands, but that's also because yes, it's a Marvel movie, so it's not. I don't know.
You know what I did like about it? And again, I liked it, but like one of the things that I did like about it was how quickly it moved. Like there was very much of like, all right, we're going to do it now, you know, where Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson are like, hey, we're sisters. You came back. We're going to figure this out together. We're doing a fight and we're running away.
Yeah, I mean, the pacing felt good. It felt good in terms of just the relationships and the progression of like seeing each other for the first time in forever and reconciling the kind of fucked up past you have and the weird dynamic of not having a family and all these different things. Like that was all paced very well and felt very real. Not very real,
You know,
but it felt very believable.
Yes. I think the thing, and I'm sorry, but the thing that takes it away from being like a spy thriller is how big everything happens. Like instead of it being like a strike team that like comes in to them, like that's like a small strike team that's gonna like try to assassinate them. It's like a big army, or not like a big army, but they're just like blap 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 blap, and then the Taskmaster has like a fucking tank that's like blasting through the streets, and it's like I think that's one of the things that,
true,
if it doesn't bother me, it's like, oh, okay, it's stuff like this that's like, oh yeah, Iron Man should be like, hey, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I mean that the sense of scale felt very, I mean obviously Marvel, or very Fast and Furious. Like there's just the big black tank coming on. I think the biggest missed opportunity was Taskmaster. The whole I just didn't like that the mimicking thing wasn't played in, you know, like it wasn't this big climax of Natasha figuring it out or changing up her habits. Or fighting techniques, or doing something creative, or the fact that Red Guardian fought Taskmaster as essentially in the Captain American configuration, and he could have said like that joke could have been revisited.
Hey, I've done this before.
Or again, it's just going back before. Yes, again, like it's such a storytelling beat and mechanic of Taskmaster that they mimic stuff. That the fact that it pretty much is abandoned as a barrier to overcome,
except for like the hero shots, of him like of them having the shield, and then of them like having the bow, and then doing the Black Panther claws, like except for those beats, like it was pretty much abandoned. Like it could very well have been like where there could have been like a final fight between Taskmaster and Black Widow where Black Widow is like, hey, guess what? I'm going to cycle through all of my friends' stuff too, you know? And then it's like, you like short circuit the Taskmaster or whatever because, you know, I'm glad that it wasn't a robot. I was worried that it was going to be a robot.
Yeah. I think I like that. I like that it was Anastasia or Antonia. I like that it was I like that. I like that he showed that he's just that ruthless that he passed on his daughter as a tool even more. I liked the design, but I didn't like the colors. The colors remind me of like a college football team colors, like Blue Mountain State. Like the coloring was very bad. I would never
have thought that, but I agree with you.
And maybe that's because funny. I've seen Blue Mountain State or blah 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 whatever, but it's still it's not a good color combination.
Sort of like smoke blue or whatever.
Yeah,
smoke blue and silver.
It's the blue and the
And
orange with the
orange.
silver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very pro sports team, college sports team
Yeah.
color.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that now that you pointed it out. Also, that's what did you figure it out before it was revealed, or did that surprise you?
It surprised me, I guess. I just had no reason to expect why it would be her. I guess in
Okay.
hindsight, they laid the beats there. I don't know. Was that something you saw coming?
Yeah. I don't know. I was just wondering.
As it was built, I was like, oh, that's going to be his daughter.
I still like it. I still
I saw
like
it in
it.
the moments coming up to it, but I, just like at some point early in the movie, there, I didn't, I wouldn't pick that out as a.
Well, and it's
That's what
also,
it
it
was.
could be like one of those things where, it was when they did for me, it was when they did the flashback to the Dreykov's daughter thing. And I was like, huh, I wonder if it's her. I wonder if she's a Taskmaster because they're like, she's not dead and Dreykov's not dead. So why would she be dead? And if anyway, spoiler alert. It's still a good twist, but I don't know if maybe sometimes I think Parasite's ruined me. Parasite has ruined me to being like,
oh, where's that going to come back?
There's a twist coming and okay, I bet you it's this thing. And then when it's not fucking Family in the Basement or whatever.
Or look out for the volcano reference early in the movie.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's hard to, especially any knowledge. I'm not like any knowledge of film or filmmaking, and then you look at it and the why things are done for certain reasons. It definitely messes with you trying to disconnect, or even just recognizing a story technique in a movie you liked or whatever. With Parasite, it gets hard to just disconnect sometimes. And I guess that's what it.
Bud.
I guess that's why then a movie like Parasite, I'm gonna guess, was really good for you because you were able to do that.
I was like, oh my god, you fucking got me! Hell yeah! Well, that and then Sorry to Bother You also did that to me, where it was like, hey, what the fuck? Holy shit! Okay.
I don't know if it's in her contract or something, but like the amount of ass shots of Scarlett Johansson was crazy to me.
It felt like there were, like, I don't know.
Like I thought, like it was always like
I thought that was something that they she didn't want. Is it?
I noticed a lot of it.
I thought there was but there's a lot of them, and I watched the Avengers too after watching it, just because I was like, I wanted to see. I wanted to see another performance. No. I wanted to see another performance of hers in that character because I was like, again, watching this, I was like, is she like, I really was like, man, does Scarlett does she phone this in? This feels like not the movie to phone it in, but it definitely, because there's so much bounciness for Florence, and then the bounciness between Florence, Rachel, and then even David Harbour. There's so much bounciness between them that Natasha definitely feels like she's not a part of things and is like behind a step, which again fits with what's going on because she's like behind a step and she's like, what the fuck? Like, what are we talking about here? But I just was like, because she's such a subdued, like, watching character, like where she's like, I'm just going to watch shit and react.
But in terms of rewatching,
even in Avengers, is like there's a bunch of butt shots of her too, which I don't know if I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, how
many is too many? Should there be any? Do we want that? Do you want a good shot of your butt? If I look good in pants, I'd be like, fucking take a shot of these butt. But there's a certain point where it's like, okay, we got enough shots of my butt. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not over the top. It's just something I noticed, and I was like, I at this day and age, like, I just like not directed by a male, like get rid of the male gaze, whatever. I was just surprised to still see it, or to still see it at that capacity. It doesn't bother me. I don't think it was overdone. I guess
Yeah.
it's just at the same. Just with that said, it's just like, oh, okay. So I guess it's still here to stay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I agree. What do you think? Here's a question that I thought of while watching this. I was like, how many world controlling secret organizations can there be? The answer is not enough.
That is a thought I
because-
had. I didn't explore it, but now that I'm interested in exploring it, because there's so many. You have. I mean, at one point, Hydra currently actually, because Hydra exists. You have the Red Room. You have. I don't know.
With
you
his
have
network of girl assassins.
Yeah.
But I also love the fact of Natasha being like, you haven't done shit with these. What are you talking about?
That is
Why
true.
have I not fucking
did like
heard
that.
of you?
Well, the demasculation of a guy who manipulates and just a guy in that position. I love that. Like, that was good.
Yeah.
And I think that was ripe for opportunity. I don't think they ever did it in a good way. Like, I think they just sprinkled that in, demasculated him just well enough.
Yeah. No, I liked that. It was good. But it was just funny to me. It was like, damn, who the fuck is paying for this thing? What is he doing? You know, if he hasn't come up before. And then there's like, I think in before the beginning of this movie, there was the trailer for the 10 Rings, which was hinted at way back, in in Iron Man, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's like the Mandarins thing. But now, the 10 Rings is probably another secret organization that controls shit.
You have Doctor Strange's organization.
Wakanda, the network of sorcerers.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me that it's like there's no overlap. You guys don't fucking talk to each other.
I mean, Shield to some extent, and then
Shield,
what-
like the more and more we go throughout these movies, Shield is the fucking least, because there's so many secret organizations that they either can't or like we'll just let them do their thing.
Shield's just like the illusion of control,
Yeah.
and like
They're
obviously
America, where like America's like, yeah, we got shit, and then it's like the fucking Sorcerer Supreme is like, yeah, sure, you got shit. Go ahead, good job.
Bringing it back to Taskmaster.
Bring it back, dude.
I keep saying Taskmaster.
Taskmaster.
Taskmaster. I think it's such a cool villain that I think is essentially, since the timeline is going forward, more or less, you know, as new movies come out, I feel like it was such a cool villain that was kind of written out, you know, like maybe she'll come back, but like she won't. I mean, maybe she'd be. I mean, I guess it depends. You know, it's good guy, bad guy. It's relative to motives in some instances, but I just think, like, the fact that Taskmaster had like Spider-Man's like moves, Black Panther's moves, Captain America,
Hawkeye, Black
Hawkeye.
Widow.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that would have been cool shit to see, and the fact that she's still kicking means she at least survived all of them. So
Yeah.
that would have been interesting, and I don't know if we'll see more of Taskmaster, but
And it was also all right. Here's the other way that I knew it, because I saw Olga Kurylenko in the opening titles, and I knew who that is because I know who that is. But I was like, huh.
weird flex.
Well, no, because she was in Quantum of Solace, and they were trying to make her a thing.
Oh
for a moment.
shit, that was her.
Yeah, she was the
Whoa.
girl from Quantum of Solace.
Yeah.
She stood out to me because her name is Olga Kurylenko, and I remembered her name.
Yeah.
She was also in a Chinese movie about like essentially like Avatar meets Aquaman, so like under the water. That I don't think ever came out, but it was like a huge money laundering scheme. But there's like a trailer of her as like the main person that you can find somewhere on
What?
YouTube.
That sounds cool.
Yeah,
Like, not cool, but like, what a weird concept.
Yeah.
It's like the whole setup.
But whenever I saw her in the trailer, I was like, or in the opening crawl, I was like, I wonder. I hope that she shows up before I see the Taskmaster.
Yeah, it's one of those things like I haven't seen anything about them yet, so when are they gonna show up?
Yeah, I do think because I did like a little, not a little reading, but like I was trying to figure it out, and yeah, he does seem like a really fucking cool character.
Yeah.
Or they've like I hope that they bring her back.
Me too. I think it's a cool
way.
concept that wasn't really explored as well as it could have been.
The movie is called Empires of the Deep, and there's only a trailer of it.
It reminds me of Argo, with the fake sci-fi movie. Obviously not the same, but you like that same like
Oh yeah.
kind of joke. Empires of the Deep.
I'm dropping the link in the chat. I'm dropping the link in the chat, dude. But it's I guess like the history behind that is pretty wild from what I'm either remembering and or making up. Because those two things are maybe the same. But from what I know, it's like the budget just kept ballooning and then they were like, we're not going to release it.
It's so weird.
Because they had like half finished effects or something in there. But yeah, man, I think I didn't think about how they wasted that character. I did find it interesting that there wasn't a she figured it out like for fighting the person. Like it definitely feels like there was one more fight scene that we missed where it was like, oh, she should have figured it out.
Yeah, because I mean, fighting Taskmaster feels like a puzzle. Like it should be a puzzle. Like it's like a very good video game mechanic for a boss, you know. And I've played video games that have done it well. I mean, the Spider-Man game, for example.
I've played video games. I've done it well.
I'm not saying I've done it well.
I'm a great video game player. Fuck you.
No, I've played games who have done the design well.
I know. Sorry, it was just funny.
But it's just such a cool character with like, and I think maybe it was the wrong villain for the movie.
Yeah.
There's got to be other masked people that can do things. I don't know.
I don't know. It also would be interesting too if like I don't know, because they wanted to have the Florence Pugh have that relationship, so you go ahead and set her up as a hero. But I wonder too if there's a version of that script where you kind of hold off on that and are like, hey, what if she's the villain for like the first 2/3 of the movie, and then they come together, or something like that, you know?
And that definitely adds more conflict and
then it's
inner
like
conflict and reconciling. And I think it's better for her to have a soft spot for her baby sister, because it doesn't make sense for her to, because she cared about her and she was the big sister, even if it was fake. And you know, and even in the clips in the shipping containers and the training, like she's looking over her and trying to protect her. So it doesn't make sense for then Sasha to then come in and be like, what's going on? I guess she's suspect about her being like brainwashed or whatever. So I guess that makes sense. But it doesn't. It definitely comes across very aggressive that she's so defensive about her from the start. And obviously it's so we can have a fight between them and then just for fun.
Yeah.
Just to see that matchup. But you know, that is an interesting way to do that, I think. And I think it, you know, that's a point of drama in a lot of things, you know, is that like trying to wake up your family member or whatever, you know, or like brainwashed, or I don't know, even like Hawkeye and Avengers with the Loki's enchantment or whatever. So yeah, but if we did that, then we don't get a movie full of Florence Pugh being like charming and cute as hell and fun to look at and just such a good performance. Like, and also like I say cute, but also just like also not just like very like bold and brash Russian too. It's just like there's so many things in that performance that were fun to watch. And I think earlier we were talking about her. This is off podcast. And I was like, oh yeah, she's just fun to look at, and then you agreed or whatever. But but this movie is that, and then it's also just the performance. Like, I don't know, just a jack of all trades, has it all, and does it in unique different ways. Like the weird little sister murderer vibe.
Yeah.
In a Russian accent and the weird dry Russian wit. It's such a fun, weird combination, and she does it so good. And just like the dryness that she makes fun of her with the posing.
Yeah.
She felt like someone that was derivative of a different culture, I guess. Like, it's hard to explain.
I feel like that's one of the reasons that she is attractive, but also like she's fun to look at because she's always making choices, and she's always doing something, you know?
Yeah.
Which I mean, I know that people are always doing something, but like she makes choices and they're fun to look at and fun to find as she is having fun on the screen.
Well, even like when they have their little standoff, when they first see each other, like if you just watch her, she goes through a range of emotions, and at one point she does a little smile, and it's just like, I don't know, like you can pick that apart and try and figure out what her deal is, but it's fun. Like there's just so much subtlety. Like she's not just holding the gaze, holding the serious look or the confused. Like she's just she's processing. Like you can see the characters messing around, or like at that point.
Which is why I almost like I am sad that we're not gonna get I'm sad we're not gonna get the Steve Rogers leading a group of leading like an assassin like group of Black Widow, Hawkeye, and their two proteges, or whatever, and then like they meet up with Black Panther, and Steve's like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know, like that would be a fun 15-minute scene in a larger movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Like especially like marrying those like things that we know, and then we get to see Natasha be like older sister to this fucking dry murder toddler. And then like I don't know what's going to happen with the Hawkeye thing. Maybe that'll also be very interesting as well. And I'm much more interested in the Hawkeye series now that I know that Florence Pugh is a part of it.
Oh yeah. Me too.
In some way.
And one singer actor girl.
Yep, Haley. Fuck, what is her name?
Steinfeld or something?
Yes.
I'll look it up.
Haley Steinfeld. Steinfeld?
I'm gonna look when I look up the Bumblebee movie when I can't remember her name. Haley Steinfeld. I was right.
Haley Steinfeld. Or you could also look up True Grit. She's a girl in True Grit.
Yeah.
True Grit, man.
Yeah, those are two movies I can recall her from. I think it'll be fun. I 100% agree. I'm more down just to watch more Florence Pugh, and again, not so much the actor being the attractive, talented actor she is. It's the character. It's that like weird, innocent, dry. I don't know.
Way too emotional too for like an assassin, but then also like not. Like I like her throwing the stick in there. She's like, "This was fun. Bye."
Yeah, it felt very spontaneous, and I love the whole vest subplot thing too. That was fun.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, it's got so many pockets.
I'm gonna have to rewatch Infinity War to see if
I was curious
if
about
she's
that.
got a vest in it.
Currently, I'm getting back into rewatching them all, and I watched because also Thor. I watched Thor, Avengers. Yeah, I watched Thor and Avengers, and if you watch those two movies, you pretty much get caught up on the Loki we see.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see the end of that too. Speaking of MCU stuff,
which we will cover. So we will
cover.
Up.
I'm sure that'll probably be next week. Because it's finaleing.
Yeah.
This Wednesday, right?
So we'll record it next week or this week or whatever. We'll record it. But I also saw a lot of people joking about how like, oh, we had a break from Marvel, and then now all of a sudden you have this. You obviously had Loki. You had the TV shows anyways, but you have Loki. You have this. You have the 10 Rings. God, there's another movie they started to tease. I forgot. I don't know. I don't.
Oh, the Eternals.
Yeah, the Eternals. Yeah, back to back. I don't know. A lot of people, especially Marvel fans, are like hardcore comic fans or whatever. All this burnout and stuff, but I don't know. I'm here for it. I guess I'm fine with it. And I will say that there was a point where I was burnt out and I wasn't keeping up. But I don't know.
I'm interested to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe it's my
I wish
interest in
that
storytelling and interconnectedness, and just to me, it's a treat to see how they do it. It's not so much I buy into the fan service or it like tickles some funny like some bones in me. You know, it's more I really appreciate it and I think it's creative. And sometimes there's not good ways. I don't know. It's just like cool to see how things come together. And for me, that's a big aspect, I think.
Yeah. I just wish that we had gotten a better introduction to Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, between the Falcon and the Winter Soldier in this movie,
well, they definitely want it to be a mystery and kind of vague. For sure.
I know. And I want that for them because I want that, but I also I feel like I already know that she's a bad guy. Like I think that's the thing to me where it's like I kind of already know that she's a bad guy. I'm not getting any new information by you withholding that she is maybe a good guy because I feel like I know that she's a bad guy.
My guess is she is with the government, and the government, like maybe the U.S. government is like, oh, fuck, I'm sick of all these people having these secret agencies with these badasses. And they're just like, yeah, the Avengers wasn't really working because they were like still kind of autonomous and overpowered people that could fuck us up. So maybe that's what this is. You know, it's like the American kind of ground force.
I think that's what I think that it's Ross's
CIA.
Thunderbolts is what they're setting up. I think is what people are saying.
What's that?
I think it's essentially that, where it's like the fucking Avengers didn't work out, and so America is like, hey, we're gonna make our own Avengers that are our Avengers. So fuck you.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going. And I've seen chatter online in her reviews where people are not into the regular people heroes, and I get that. You know, at first I was like, who the fuck's Hawkeye and Black Widow? Why do I need to care about these people? They don't have powers. Why are they Avengers? They're just regular Joes. I don't think I need the goofy, crazy magic powers and superpowers in a Marvel. I think it works for me, the human stuff.
Okay.
But I do want superheroes and superpowers, I think. I don't know.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like we've got two, like, it feels like on one level, they're like going back down to basics where it's like, hey, we're going to get real little and political with stuff. And then on the other level, it's like getting way more cosmic, like with the TVA, with any of the WandaVision stuff. Like we're about to get some fucking weird shit. And then also like have like petty squabbles between California and New York.
Well, who knows? Maybe there's so many superheroes that they get like the regular people get tired of it, you know, and it's kind of like The Boys, or just it's done in a lot of things that are satirical.
Yeah,
I think even Watchmen. I'm just like super Howard people almost get like discriminated or whatever, or, like, you know, and maybe there becomes another kind of civil war where it's like the people like the Valentina's army group versus superpowered people, you know?
Yeah.
And that becomes a whole dynamic.
But John Walker is a super soldier. He took the serum.
That is true.
So,
which they never fully committed to showing off.
Well, they also listen. We've talked about this where I feel like they underpowered Bucky after, which again we also talked about it being because he wasn't a full like efficiency monster robot like he was before. But I still feel like they like vastly underpowered him. And then I feel like they also underpowered John Walker
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
Well, that show was a mess. I don't remember how it.
The further
we
away I
talked
get
about
from it, the further I get from liking it. On a whole, Falcon and Winter
Well, I
Soldier.
mean, I like the story in there. I like the content, the through line, whatever. But the execution, and not just because of COVID, filming around it or the budget, it just doesn't. I don't know. That show feels
I just wanted
weird.
more for those characters.
Yeah, because they gave us good characters and they made us care about John Walker. They made me care about John Walker, which was pretty much a feat because the whole point of him is you're supposed to think of who the fuck's this poser, fuck this guy,
Yeah.
get out. But like, I started to like follow and care for him, and even his ally or his friend, he's got
Yeah.
the goofy name Battlestar or something.
Battlestar, I think.
I don't know if that's right, but even him, like
I think it's Battlestar because he had a star on his thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's filmed in such a way that you're expecting them to turn evil or go, but like it's like set up like they're the others, and in the end they're still just like trying to do good and be good guys,
Yeah.
and I think that's what makes them endearing. At least that was the journey for me.
I mean, yeah, I definitely think
But that's
that there's
to say that show doesn't age well, but also does age. I don't know.
I don't know. I liked it, but I didn't like it, and I think that so far everything else that I've like seeing the scale and like how fucking complex they've made Loki made me feel mad for Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan that those guys didn't get that level of treatment for their story.
Yeah,
You know?
it definitely doesn't feel equal.
Yeah. And again, I mean, and that's what I felt too. It's like WandaVision. With going from WandaVision to Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was like, oh, okay, maybe WandaVision, they like stepped it up or something. Because that one definitely felt more like, okay, yeah, this is kind of like you kind of stretched out a movie.
Yeah.
And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier felt like a TV show. And then now Loki feels like a stretched out movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, what the fuck? Why did you fuck those guys? Like, the stuff that you have in there is really cool. Like, it feels like you did it halfway.
Well, I think a big part with that
give
was
my boy Anthony Mackie fucking big shit.
the villains or whatever you want to call them in Falcon Soldier. It felt like a TV villain because it just felt like villain of the season, you know, with the Flag Smashers or whatever they're called, and then even Sharon Carter. I almost said Sharon Stone. Like even like that just doesn't. The villains aren't good, and obviously, was it Agnes or Agatha?
Agatha Harkness.
Like she isn't a huge iconic villain, but she like was always there, and then like there's a little twist. Villain, cool, works for me. And then obviously with Loki, you have the TVA twist, and then you even have Sylvie, and then you have the big smoke monster guy. You know, it doesn't it doesn't have like
Whatever.
a super specific villain, but it still feels like a movie, I guess. And then obviously WandaVision does
But
too.
it definitely feels like, I think the difference with Loki is it feels like we're uncovering a bigger villain. Like as we work through it, it feels like we're uncovering a bigger villain.
Yeah, like we
rather
still haven't
than,
gotten
like-
to the bottom of it, which hopefully we
Yeah.
do by the next episode.
I think we'll get to the half bottom of it.
Yeah.
Because I think that whatever the bottom of it is going to be a bigger movie reveal. And I think Kevin Feige has said, I'm not going to fucking do these. I'm doing movies, baby. I'm doing these TV shows, but the TV shows are just to get you to movies.
Yeah,
Little babies. I'll punch you.
little baby. Well,
How do you feel-
It's interesting because you have Falcon Soldier, kind of same world setup as Natasha in this movie, and this movie I don't think would have been good in a format spread out for
Yeah.
a TV show, but I think if like the TV show hit this vibe, hit this level of production quality, and I obviously know there's budget and you have to spread over X amount of episodes, but I don't know. Like it just felt so cheap, and the
I wonder
villain
if
situation
that was the
not
one that
good.
got hit the hardest by COVID.
I think it did because that's the most I
think-
hear in
Yeah.
regards to COVID, and it sucks if that's the case. You know, it is what it is. But I mean, the feels were still there. You know, like the new Captain America reveal or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. That felt that wasn't
That was
Yeah.
a good feeling.
nothing was taken away, or there's nothing about the production or how it was done that I saw that was less than it could have been. So, in the end, that's what's important of that show, is that origin. So, in the end, I guess it did its job.
I agree. Well, how do you? So, Kevin Feige, I think it's Feige. He announced that they're not going to do multi-film contracts anymore.
I saw that.
So they're just, and I was like, what do you think about that, business guy?
I think it's risky, but it's also, I think, very smart. I think it brings in. I think after 20 years, or no, how long has this been?
Oh, I think
After 12-ish
Almost-
years, almost 15 years, like, you know, the value of this franchise and what this being a part of this can do for your career has showed its value, or it's so big, you know, like any actor can come in and they can appreciate it. So I think like having it be an opt-in essentially for people who just want to be a part of it, you know, like maybe like a David Harbour, I could see him just being happy to be there. If they wanted him more, is a good thing. And I think that's good, but you also still like people and egos are egos, and you could have like a mid-tier or an actor on a recovery, picking their career back up, and then, you know, these Marvel movies get them all these opportunities. Like, fuck, I don't need this. Like all of a sudden they think they're just over or whatever, which is at also the same time is fair. If you're over it, you're over it. But it definitely will make it harder for these big sweeping stories that they want to tell. You know.
Well,
Like
I think too, it's like if they have to negotiate film by film, like say a fucking Florence Pugh, like people like, oh my god, we fucking love Florence Pugh.
Gives her
She's
so
gonna
much
get a
leverage.
crazy bump.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is good. She should get paid. But I'm just saying, in terms of the business side of things, that it's giving them so much leverage in negotiating and hardballing.
But I guess it does also kind of to your point where it does give them, because I think that was with one of the things, and because I'm thinking about it now, but one of the things is that they couldn't have, like they had to do separate negotiations so that people could do like a little cameo or whatever, so that it wouldn't count on their like film deal, you know?
Yeah.
So like if Chris Evans has 6 films or whatever, they have to do a separate negotiation so that he can come and cameo in Thor Dark World, you know?
Yeah.
Or in
Yeah.
Spider-Man or whatever. But now they can negotiate, they can maybe be a bit more flexible with the scale of those things, where it's like, hey, you know what? Come in for this, probably not Tom Holland, because Spider-Man's like a big one, but they can be like, hey, come in for the third act of this movie.
Yeah.
Come in for the third act of this movie because it makes sense if you be here. Or,
Honestly,
like,
it could
that
be
way
a big part of it is they're at a new phase. Like the huge fucking pillars, Iron Man, Captain America, even to an extent, a Black Panther. Like
Yeah.
characters are killed out, or the actor's dead, and so it's like these huge pillars are either written off or logistically it just can't happen.
Yeah.
So it's like we're not really depending on anyone right now, you know? So let's keep it loose, you know, and figure out who we want to depend on. Because obviously Tom Holland's the big one. That's the only one.
I would say, but also I feel like Thor too. But I think that Thor's final jazz?
Yeah, I don't know where he falls because like I heard
What are you
stuff
doing?
about
Because
Natalie.
I also there's part of me that's like Chris Hemsworth is like, oh, finally I got to have fun with this character. I'm gonna fucking keep doing it until my arms fall off.
Yeah, I mean I'd be sick if he sticks around. I mean, this thing is like Thor's like almost immortal god, so it's just like he's not dying unless he's killed.
Yeah.
So what's going on there?
what are we
I
doing?
think he'll stick around, but I mean, there's talks of Valkyrie or even Natalie Portman filling in for that branch of the story, which I don't really understand. I'm here for it to see it, but where does that put Thor? You know, that's not been very clear through all this.
Yeah. He's just gonna go be a pirate.
I love it. I love for him to just. Normally, I hate the I hate the goofification of characters and things, but Thor is a good one.
I think that but the thing is, I think
'cause
that's
they
really
found
good with the goofification of him is less that he's been goofified, in that he's become a real person. You know, like because in the previous movies, he was definitely like, I am big and I am a part of things, but I am above everything. But now he's just kind of, it's much more, he's like, well, I'm just a man who's 2,000 years old, who's very, very strong. And like, I think they've also, it's like his goofiness has also been equivocally, he's gotten equivocally stronger. So it's like the goofier that Thor gets, the fucking stronger he gets.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the strongest. Like, obviously, you're told a lot how badass Hulk is and how much he's one of the strongest guys and blah 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 blah. This he is, but Thor is probably arguably the strongest, if not second strongest, to the Hulk. And
well,
it's very
and
understated.
Captain Marvel too.
Yeah,
where
well,
it's like,
she's so new to the. She's so new that she's barely penetrated the fabric of the conscious, the blob of
it stinks,
how
though.
I think of this thing.
I feel bad though for Captain Marvel because I don't know where her story has to go. You know, like because like part of like that's part of the reason why Thor is so good is because it's like, yeah, he's really strong and stuff and he's doing it, and then it's like, hey, like by the time we got to Ragnarok and like Ultron, where it's like, hey, bud, yeah, what? Why are you keeping up? Why are you letting these mortal dudes keep up with you? You are a god of lightning and thunder. What are you doing? And I think that's like where, and then now his journey is getting to that, and it's like, well, what does Captain Marvel have to learn? Is my biggest sort of like,
it's an interesting parallel.
Yeah,
of like serious to like what's next for her, and I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know. I really like Brie Larson as an actress and as a person. I guess I don't know her as a person, but but I like her and I want to see her do cool shit, and like because she's got personality and stuff, but I just don't know where that character has to go other than doing like Spider-Man 2 and losing her powers or something. But like her whole first movie was like accepting her powers, and now she's like fucking strong as shit. And it's like, well, what do you do with that character? What do you do with Superman?
I saw somewhere that they're backing off on her being the flagpole figurehead of this new phase. I think I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there was pretty big.
And even if I did see that anywhere,
for some reason, for fucking internet pig reasons, where they were like, how dare she say she's strong? How dare she be excited about doing stuff and trying to fit in with all these people who've been hanging out for 12 years? How dare her?
Brought to you by the same people who redesigned Sonic, gave us The Rise of Skywalker, and the
gave
Snyder
us
Cut.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys.
I mean, they can get it right sometimes. I mean, Sonic needed to be redesigned. Did that make the movie better or worse? Debatable. The story's still the same. Rise of Skywalker, talked about ad nauseum. And then
have we
Snyder
ever
Cut.
talked about that, John?
I thought you were serious for a second.
I was kidding.
Yeah, and then what was the last one? Snyder Cut, which we made a whole podcast about.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's us running down the MCU and talking about Black Widow a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool shit from the Black Widow. Florence, David, and Rachel. Is the fight choreography better or worse or the same? What'd you think?
It was better in the sense that I didn't get the generic stuntman fight choreography stuff happening.
Yeah.
It felt different. It definitely didn't feel great. It felt like Game
It
of
felt like the
Thrones
best
level
version of
choreography.
what they usually do.
Yeah. Like you have the choreography and the sword play in Game of Thrones, and then you have the choreography and sword play in anything else. And this on that spectrum of Game of Thrones to, let's just say, Viking, I think this is middle of the line.
Okay.
For fight punching choreography. There was some pretty cool visuals, like the Taskmaster landing on that sheet of metal or whatever, flying through the air, and Black Widow.
Widowmaker.
Yeah, Overwatch reference. Like that was just cool looking. Like that was cool. Like there's tons of cool things in here.
That kind of leads me to my next cool part is like I feel like the VFX bodies are getting really good. They're getting pretty good. Like because obviously all that stuff is like anything with that like flying. I'm sure that there's a measure that they did like principal photography on or practical stuff. But for the most part, like the moving and twisting through the air at that sort of speed, it's got to be the VFX. And like to go from like Harry Potter, like on the broom to that is like, okay, yeah. You're getting pretty good at that.
Or Legolas climbing the Oliphant.
Yeah, or that. Which I you know what? I actually I heard that Orlando Bloom actually did that, but they didn't have the camera on, but so they just like used someone's camcorder footage and then like used it as a model. So he actually did it.
Looks like a little like mini Play-Doh guy in like
Yeah.
120 frames per second claymation or something weird.
Yeah, it looks pretty weird.
Well, what did you give it?
I'll give it 3 stars. I'll give it 3 red vials of memory clearing mist.
I'll give it 3.5 vodka shots of 5.
Ooh.
And I was going to either say AK or vodka, the two most Russian things there are, but I went with vodka shots. Anyways, mostly off the back of the performances of David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, and primarily Florence Pugh. They definitely made the movie.
Yeah.
And Scarlett Johansson was perfectly capable and did well. I think
she's doing what she's doing. Like it's hard. It's like I don't know. It's hard to like really critique her because it's like she is Natasha Romanoff, and it's like I don't know. It's hard to be like you gave me something new that I was interested in versus Florence, David, and Rachel are doing new things that I haven't seen before. And it's cool to see your story, but I don't know how much I care about it. But like I do care about it. I don't know. I thought it was really weird that Ray Winestone was Dreykov. I was like, here's this dude who's like, I'm very stereotypically either a British gangster or like a Boston dude. I'm doing an Australian accent.
Just because Chris Hemsworth. Is that the fixer guy with the gear? Is that like the gear fixer guy?
No. It was Ray Winestone, like the Dreykov, the guy who played Dreykov.
Duh. Yeah, shit.
I was like, this dude, he's a Boston gangster, and he used essentially the same voice I was like, okay, all right, okay, all right.
Well, I've watched the Avenger movies. I
watched Avenger. I watched Crimson Peak because I hadn't gotten enough of Tom Hiddleston.
I like him a lot. The first time I was conscious of him as an actor was War Horse, and he has a very brief role in it. But I just I like this guy. He has a wide range, but in that movie he's very
powerful,
very compassionate, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Have you seen War Horse?
I have not seen War Horse.
So it's World War One, and this boy has like this awesome horse that he's like raised from the ground up, and he loves this horse. And then World War One starts, and it's like everyone put your resources in the war effort, and so they make him turn his horse in to this English officer, who is Tom Hiddleston. He's like just so earnest. Is like, I'll take care of this horse. You know, so yeah,
don't ruin it for me.
The fact that he like that, just that there, and that the acting and his carrying that like conviction there, I was like, dang,
yeah,
I trust this guy I'll give this guy anything that's precious to me because I know he'll take care of it. Yeah. But yeah, that was my first
horse.
Tom Hiddleston exposure. Can't get enough.
Can't get enough, dude. Yeah, he's really good. I also watched comedian James Acaster's Cold Lasagna 1999.
That's a lot of words you just threw together.
What is it called? James Acaster's Cold Lasagna 1999. It's something else. Cold Lasagna. Oh, it's Cold Lasagna Hate Myself 1999.
Okay.
That's the name of his special. And it's really fucking funny. And if you get a chance on Netflix and you're feeling in a stand-up mood, he's got four specials called, it's repertoire, and so it's like four specials that are like one big joke. Like there's 3 individual ones that are pretty good, and then the 4th one is like it finishes all the jokes essentially from the previous 3.
Dang, that's commitment.
Which is it's really fucking good. It's really fucking good. Yeah. Really like James Acaster.
I bet I'd recognize him if I pulled up his face, but I don't recognize the name.
He's in the meme from he's in the meme from the Great British Bake Off, which is like tried to make cakes, had a breakdown, there it is. Or whatever. You probably recognize him from memes.
I think I've seen that, or seen a few of his memes, but actually I'm not super recognizing on the face. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for hopefully leaving a review. On Apple.
Rate, review. Hit us up on Twitter at Stinky Podcast. And tell us what you think we should watch next. Tell us what you want us to watch next.
Only Marvel movies and Fast and Furious movies. And,
that's it.
And Rachel Weisz movies, because we watch all the
and Rachel Weisz movies. Hell yeah.
Well, anyways,
the favorite is up next.
As they say in Russia,
Kalashnikov.